everyone, and welcome to another American Scouser podcast with our player ratings. No Bickler, no problem. We have Gally here today. What's going on, Gally?
Another win, another win. One foot
Yes.
into the Champions League final.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I think most people expected it to be a lot easier, and I don't know why. If you have not watched this team before, I mean, they are in the semifinals. So, let's do an overall take of the game. What do you think in terms of what it means for like the second leg? Are you satisfied with the score? Are you still worried with the tie? Where are you at?
I'm satisfied with the score. I think I predicted 2-0 and said I hope for three and kind of got what I thought would happen. We had a precursor to this on the weekend when we watched Everton play, but we saw them do it with no talent and no effort. I think the squad that went out there tonight had a plan and they executed it for 45 minutes. And they were hoping to nick a goal. They were hoping to find an opportunity to steal one, kind of like they did at Bayern. And I just think that Unai Emery sets teams up to be hard and defensive. And when he's playing with his level of player, he's a great manager. You give him too quality of a player, he can't handle. So I think we go into the next leg. I think we go into the next leg in a really good spot because I don't think they can keep us scoreless and I don't believe they can score 3 goals against us. So I think that's why I say we have 1 foot firmly into the final.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think we will get a goal there. I was listening right after the game. Jay McCarrick was talking about, it's going to be interesting to see how they approach the second game. Like, do they come out the same way they did today and then see if they can nick one on the counter, maybe play a bit more open than they played today to get it done on the counter, then go full attack? Or, I mean, if they try to come at us to get 2 goals, like to get the 3 goals back kind of deal, I feel like we will easily get them on the counter because you could tell when they did not have the numbers, when we had the space, we caused them a lot of problems. So in a game where we can counter and we have that space behind, I almost felt like we were a little wasteful. And it almost felt like we were okay with 2-0 towards the end as well. They were like, well, let's call this a game and like head over to the weekend kind of deal. But let's get to the ratings. So 6 being an average performance, where do you put Allison?
Well, I think it's only fair to say 6 unless you just want to judge him on looking good in his uniform because that's basically what he did for 90 minutes on the pitch today was look good in the uniform. So I'll give Allison a 6 because I think you could have gave him a chair and he could have sat in it all match long because really he had nothing to do.
Yeah, I'll give him a 7 just because I thought I can think of one ball where he kind of like there was a long ball and then he came up, but I don't even know if there was offside afterwards. Now that I think it was offside afterwards. Now that I think about it, but yeah, I'll give him a 7. Yeah, did not have much to do. I thought, we didn't even have to build up that much play because they weren't really pressing, so he couldn't do much in that category either. So a boring night for him indeed. Trent, what do you have Trent at?
You say 6 is average. I might tick a little above that, 6.5, maybe 7, because I think he wasn't asked to do much. I think what he was asked to do defensively against Donnarumma when he had him on the wing, he did well. I I would have liked to have seen the free kick beat the wall, and that was in a really attack-minded spot in the first half when we were struggling to create opportunities. And I think you only get so many of those, and in a big game or big match, I'd like to see Trent at least get that over the wall. But he had some good interlink play. He was good defensively, but nothing special. So 6.5, 7. I'll say 6.5.
I'll have him at a 7. I thought he did well, like matching up with that speed on that wing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt when we were getting flustered, I can kind of tell him like sending some hopeful balls into the box, and that was mostly, I should say, towards the end of the first half. But I thought he did well overall. There wasn't that much space to be able to make runs to, but had a couple of good passes, good link ups with Mo. I have him at like a 7. Konate, this is an interesting one for me because I thought he did excellent. So I have him at an 8, but I still feel like games like this, and I know we didn't want to use him today because of his injury history, and we don't want to give him too many games. We need him in the Premier League as well. But against these defenses that sit back, we need Matip at his number 10 role. But that's probably not fair to Konate. I thought he did excellent today. I have him at an 8.
Yeah, I actually had him up there as well. I had him at an 8, and I thought that he was breaking up play. He stepped into, he would step up and almost in perfect timing. It seemed like to break up play at times. He made a few key passes forward that started a few things in the first half that didn't lead to goals, but at least started to look to unlock. But I agree, if Matip was in there, he's charging forward when he wins the ball in that position, where Kanate wins the ball and looks for a quick pass. He's still a mountain of a man, and I just can't imagine what a defense thinks when you have to defend a corner and you have Virgil and him standing next to each other, whispering in each other's ears. He should have scored, today. He had that opportunity off his header. But for me, you know, he was fantastic. He was an 8.
Yeah, he did extremely well. Same for Van Dijk. I have him at an 8 as well. I
Yeah.
thought they both did really well in terms of like stopping the counters before they even got started. So I know it almost looks like, well, Villareal didn't do anything, so like why so high for the center backs? But I thought they did. They stopped everything before it even started. Like I thought it was excellent. And one thing I like about Van Dijk that is coming back more and more and more, and I think that's one of his best qualities as a defender is the balls that he cuts off. He almost puts them back into play. Like those headers he does, to it can be to Robo or like to in front of Konate or Fabinho. He puts those balls back into play. I thought when he first came back from the injury, it was more about clearing and not worrying about that as much. I feel like he's back to that more confident tone where he's keeping possession when he's kind of like stopping those counters. So I have him at an 8 as well.
Yeah, I'd probably say 7.5, and the only reason is, in the first half he picks up the yellow there, and I know in our Discord channel, and if you're not in our Discord channel on match days, you're missing out on fun conversation. It's like being in a pub, even if you're at work. But it's true.
It
But
is.
the truth of the matter is, everyone was all up in arms. I think it was a fair yellow. He cleared a guy out, and if the guy cleared him, he was going to be 2-on-1 and on goal, and he knew what he was doing, and the ref was refereeing that way. So I'll say 7, and it was still an imperious performance. I'll raise my hand and filling in for Bickler. It's easy. I can actually say to myself, I can be the idiot on this call. So I was one of those people, and I think Paul was even with me at the beginning of the season. We were questioning a little bit. We were worried about the kind of quick rate and will the speed come back? It is all back. He is back to Virgil. For me, he's back to Virgil van Dijk at his highest quality. And I think there were questions this year. So I'll raise my hand and say I was an idiot who got too nervous too quick, that the injury would take, a little bit out of the man. And I think he is fully back. He's the best defender in the world. He makes everything click. And I think he knows it too. And you can almost see it in the confidence. And the fact that he almost finished that screamer, I so wish it had gone in, because that would have been, a highlight reel goal for him. He doesn't score many with the feet. And he almost had that one today. So I think this was a really, really good performance. And
Yeah, I still don't think the speed is back to where it was. Will it be? I don't know. I don't think the speed is back there, but I think part of it is probably confidence and getting back to game speed and stuff, coming back from that injury. I just like how he's putting the ball back in play right away. And yeah, I mean, he kind of controls the line. I think that kind of gets overlooked. And to be fair, when we were kind of going, the yellow card, I think, it was a clear yellow card. But I think most of the discussion, and I think like people saying "what the hell" was more on the fact that like 30 seconds before that,
it had to be a yellow.
Trent situation did not get a yellow, and I think that inconsistency, like if that's stopping a goal, this is stopping a counter. They probably both should have been yellows, to be honest with you. I thought Van Dijk's. I think you were saying the same thing on the Discord channel too. That they probably both should have been yellows.
They both should have been yellows, and I don't believe that the ref. But I will say this, for the referee, who clearly is a hot-blooded ref who likes to, play as much of the emotion in the stadium in the match, he actually did a good job at times. He calmed players down when they were kind of arguing and complaining about calls. He did call it consistently. I don't know that I like the officiating as a whole. I would probably rate him at about a 6 or a 5 maybe. But I think it was consistent on both sides, and the tackles on both sides seemed to be called about the same. For me, it just looked like a guy who wanted to be a bigger part of the story, and we know the Polish Prince, they like a little bit of attention, and
Yeah,
the
exactly,
Polish
exactly.
referee
It
looked like
told
he liked
Mateus
some
that
attention.
we would hold him responsible for the rest performance anyway. But yeah, I mean, not terrible. Like I don't like if we didn't score today, or if the game was a tie or something like that. I don't think anybody would come back to blame the ref for it. So let's at least I don't think he influenced the result, or made any mistakes that did influence the result. The a couple of calls probably could have gone our way, maybe, but like I say, nothing I thought that was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, kind of a deal. And he controlled the game pretty good. I would like to see these refs. To be fair to Villareal, they were a lot smarter about killing time in these um, goal kicks as opposed to freaking Pickford. And where it was not that obvious, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do short. Damn, can't do short. I guess we'll do long." And like sending everybody so that let me back up so I can get a good kick. So they were doing it smart, where it was taking 20, 30 seconds a pop, but it wasn't too obnoxious, like freaking like Pickford was doing. So, um, let's go to the left hand side where Robo. I thought he was really good again. I have him at a 7.5. A lot of balls where he kind of intercepted, like physical, his speed over there. If Diaz looks good, and he does, that's a lot of that credit has to go to Robo as well. So I had him at a 7.5.
Yeah, I had him at a 7, and it's splitting hairs here. It's he scored a goal that's chalked off for offsides. How about Robo, the goal scorer? How great is it that Robo is looking to score goals? But having one taken back, but I thought he was really good defensively for what he was asked to do. Once again, there was one moment where he was the one who broke up the counter. The really one good counter attack that they had, where Donnarumma turned it over, and I think it was to one of the midfielders. I can't remember which one was running on it. I'm sure he's 65 years old and a former Premier League player, like everyone on this squad. But he was the last, like always, he was hustling back and he got his foot in, dropped it back. So for me, he's a 7. He created, he did some nice things down the left, but it's hard to rank these defenders tonight because they weren't really asked to do much at their number one goal, which is defense.
Let's come to midfield. Let's start with Fab. What do you have Fab at?
I had Fab at an 8, and it's a solid 8. I thought it was like vintage Fab. He broke up play. He created tackles. He was strong in the midfield, created cover when he had to. And I think when teams set up to counter the entire match and sit that far back, you're asking a lot on him because players continue to go forward with Thiago and Henderson, and then of course all the attacking flair players. And I think Fabinho just did what he did. He was, you know, classy in midfield, and he just kind of bossed the game.
I have him at a 7, and honestly, that's mainly because of the second half. I thought he had a really good second half where he cut off a lot of balls, and like we were able to kind of like keep coming in waves. But I thought he was average at best the first half. So like if I gave him a 6 and an 8, I'll give him an average of 7. I thought in the first half his passing was way off, and that's the thing when Fab plays against teams that are at least trying to come out, where Villarreal was trying a bit more after 2-0. I think that more goes to his game because he can intercept and start
Yep.
something. But when somebody's sitting back, it almost like takes Fab out of the game a little bit because there's nothing to even intercept. So his passing comes more into play. And today I thought his passing was kind of off. So I have him at a 7. Hendo, who was getting a lot of criticism all over the place online, but he always does. He's like the default guy to blame, it feels like. Nothing exceptional, though. I mean, he got lucky with that goal, but I almost have faith that he was putting a good ball in. So I'll give him half the goal on that one and give him credit because we had a lot of bodies in the middle. I don't know if they're going to be on or off, but I have confidence that he was putting a good ball into the box from that side there when he got lucky. I have him at a 7. I thought he was fine.
Yeah, I had the same, boring to agree, but it's the truth. He was a 7. He was a little bit better than average. He did his job today. He was a leader. I was a little not a little surprised that he played 70 minutes. I thought he'd come out a little bit earlier because I thought they would want to maybe play him on the weekend. Maybe he will. That's why he got subbed off. I think he and Monty are almost the first two players on the team sheet for Saturday morning. Obviously, it's an own goal. It's a really bad, deflection, and the goalie can't do anything about it. But I, too, will say I hope it was a good ball. But all in all, he had energy. He was in the middle of the park, and he's the leader he always is.
What was up with their goalie and his rock hands, by the way? I mean, I've seen Villareal before. I did not notice it. I don't know if it was in goal then, but dude can't catch anything. It was like punching stuff left and right all game.
I think it must be very clear that this is something that happens all the time because Rob Green on the broadcast was clearly ready for it. The first time he punched, he said something like, "We won't see him catch a ball tonight," or something like that. And then he punched on another one that made no sense. And he was just like, well, I guess it worked out because they were all offsides. But he refuses to catch, obviously, has terrible hands or has no confidence. But
okay, let's go to the other side while I reconnect my power over here so we don't have to close the doors.
I was wondering if you're falling out of the chair.
I almost did grabbing a cable though. Okay, let's go to Thiago. I have him at a 7.5, maybe borderlining 8. I mean, he was kind of like the only one. I'm kind of like torn on this. For example, on a day like today, he is the only one that you see something creative that's going to come out of at times when he has the ball. But I know, initially when we got Thiago, the initial criticism was, he's not going to fit in very well because he does like to hang on to the ball a bit too much. And you did see that at times this game. But on the flip side, like I say, most of the creative through balls and stuff like that was going through him. And when he switches wings and does those diagonals, I mean, dude is dead on all the time. And right before the second goal, I believe, right? When he did that shoulder drop again, I mean, during that build up. What was that?
It was the first goal. It was the first goal where he did the wiggle.
Was that the first goal? Okay. And then the ball came to the right.
He makes the move and he loses the defender with basically just by moving his arm and his chest, and his hips do that thing where they stay completely parallel to the ball, but his feet, his body, and everything are different, and his hips are over here. I don't know how he does it. He has a swivel, he's one of those turnstiles. But it was the first goal that he was really great on. Obviously, in the first half, he had the closest shot on target, the one that hit the wood, hit the post.
Oh man, that was some.
That was such a great shot, and he does it with no backlift whatsoever. It's just so, now I feel like I'm Lee Dixon. I feel like they're gonna have to put they're gonna have to put a timer on how much I gush about Thiago. But I would give him an 8 to an 8.5 because I think he was the man of the match. I think he creates the first goal with that body movement and setting off their defenders, and then Henderson gets the cross in. I think on the second goal, he's in the right position to let Mo run off him, and then Mo ends up with the beautiful pass to Mane. So I really believe Thiago bossed the match tonight, and I think Saturday morning he's going to get a well-deserved rest. And I hope we have a big enough lead that he doesn't have to play at all, because Thiago went from not playing 60 minutes straight to playing more minutes over the last 5 matches than any player other than Virgil.
Ever since we talked on the podcast, that was a month ago, they were like, if he can give us 90 minutes, and he's been given 90 minutes every freaking game ever since that.
Yeah.
Let's go to the front line. Diaz, where I just saw a genius post about it in the US fan group about Diaz, but it's the same guy who posted about Alisson a year ago and not playing well because he had bad head. So when you kind of see those posts coinciding under the same ID, you're like, I'm not even going to comment. I'm just going to move on. I thought he did well. I mean, could he have finished? If you think about it, the same goes for probably Sadio and stuff too. If you go, and this is something maybe we should get BJ on for our podcast when we do the podcast, all 3 of us on Monday. In terms of finishing rates kind of a deal. But I feel like Sadio is the same way because of how we play. We get into those situations a lot. So you don't have to convert every single one. I know he could have probably finished 1 or 2 more today. But I don't know, his pace, his energy, his defensive work rate and stuff. I mean, I thought he was really good today. I have him in a 7.5, and I think if he converts one of those, he's probably easily man of the match. Really.
Yeah, I thought he was right up there when I was thinking about man of the match before we started this call. When I said it was Thiago, I thought Diaz was up there. I'd probably say 7.5, just like you, but I'll go with 7 because he didn't finish. And he did have a couple times in the first half where he was a little sloppy with the ball. He had those couple times where they did the big diagonals to him. And I know everyone wants to keep, replaying the amazing gif where he does the Neymar and he brings it down. And it is beautiful. Because
do not use Neymar in
but
a
it's the
sentence
truth.
that
But it's
involves
the truth.
Liverpool.
Even he said it was him following, copying Neymar because Neymar
I
did it.
still we're gonna have to edit that part out or something.
I know. But in all truth, Diaz makes those moves, and there were a couple times though he tried one with his head, he tried to bring one down with his feet. He had that one where he played Robo in, and he just kicked the ball over the end line. I mean, it was in the first half. He seemed like he was almost a little too excited to be starting at Anfield in a Champions League semifinal. Who could blame him? So he was great. But for all the people that say he misses too many shots or people, he's been here for 3 months and he's made us a full step better as a
Yeah.
club since he showed up. So listen, pipe down, shut up, and stop with these comments. I would rather hear that Allison wasn't great tonight in goal because he had bad hair.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't. I can't even remember when that was. But when I clicked on the person, I was like, "Who is this genius?" And I saw that post. I was like, "Oh, it's the same genius posting another
He
stupid."
coaches 8-year-old kids though, and he tells those 8-year-old kids if their hair's out of line, they won't play as well.
He doesn't need a clipboard. He coaches with a brush.
8-year-old kids just run around the pitch in a circle. It doesn't really matter what their hair looks like. This is what we deal with in that U.S. fan group. But I digress.
Hey man, that's the insult to U8s. I know when my girls were U8, some of them can really move that ball around. But yeah, I need a coach, I guess, that doesn't just look at hair. Let's go to the middle with Sadio. I thought he did well. It's a very, very difficult position to play when it's so crowded in the middle and they have no intention of following you back to midfield. Not everybody is Maguire, where they're just going to be like wandering off and stuff. So, I mean, he had a tough time, obviously, in that crowd. I have him at like a 7. I thought he was fine, nothing exceptional. But and then he finished the goal. You know what? Just for the goal, let me bump him up to the 7.5 for you.
See, and you stole my thunder. I was going to give him a 7.5 because he finished the goal. The header in the first half was really poor, almost as poor as the hair plugs. Sadio, if you're going to invest in hair, make them good hair. But so I blamed him a little bit for that. It was a little frustrating because it was an amazing ball from Mo. That's the type of ball that should be finished. And there's a weird spot, right? That's the spot where if Schultz is in the middle, that's a goal.
Yeah.
If Jota gets a chance at that header, that's a goal. Now, we'll get to Jota in a bit, but Mane in the second half, much better, a little bit more attack-minded. I love that he was frustrated. It was a great finish. I love that he was frustrated coming off on the 70-minute mark. And I also love that Klopp hugged him, and I think he whispered in his ear, like, stupid, this means you're starting on Saturday. Like, sit down.
Pretty much. And these guys, I mean, I don't blame them. I wouldn't either.
Neither.
They're never gonna. If you're ever expecting to be like laughing as they come out all happy on this it is a 5-0 game and they're coming out in the 91st minute. Even then, they'd be like, "Man, I could have had one more," kind of thing. So
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at that, and nobody should be reading too much into it. But how about Mo on the right side there?
I'm gonna give Mo an 8. Mo is as close to the man of the match for me. He almost he did pass the ball to Henderson, so if Henderson got credit for the goal, he would have had the assist. And his pass to Mane is what makes him world class. It was the touch on that pass. Not only did he sneak it through the 2 defenders and hit the run perfectly for the off, with keeping Mane on side, but the weight on that ball is right in between where the keeper can get there, but has to come out for it, which allows Mane to just toe poke it into the corner. And I thought Mo was really good. There were a couple times in the first half his touch let him go. But again, to your point earlier where we talk about conversion rates and Mo gets criticized for scoring so many goals but having a lower conversion rate than equal level strikers or wingers that score a lot of goals. but our system creates opportunities, and our manager asks for players to make those opportunities into chances. So they try things that other guys wouldn't. And I just think that's what leads to the statistical numbers probably being a little bit down on the conversion rates. But you can't argue the fact that we score more goals than basically everyone in Europe and everyone in England.
Yeah, I thought he was, like I say, even though it does not, he had that assist, and then his movements, and he kind of gave him a really tough time on that left hand side. And I thought he had a bunch of times where he was cutting to the middle, basically four people trailing him. And he did set up a couple of people in the middle, Keita at one point, Thiago in a couple of times, where, we couldn't make the most out of it. But he gets so much attention when he cuts towards the middle. Everybody's so afraid of that shot with the left that he can kind of like pass to the middle and create some space there. I think it gets overlooked. I have him at a 7.5. I thought he was, like I say, he was pretty effective over there. I know like people don't count it as effective when he doesn't score, but that's just not fair. So let's go to the subs real quick. First off, in this 70 seconds, they both come in. Keita for Hendo, Jota for Mane. What do you have for Keita? I had him at a 7, nothing exceptional. Nothing.
He did his job, didn't make any mistakes. There was one moment, actually, I thought it was late. It was like the 85th, 86th minute. And there was an opportunity for him to dive in, like really press heavy in the middle of the pitch. And if he had lost that tackle, no, but it wasn't a 50-50. But if he had lost that ball in that spot, though, they might have been on the counter. And I think at times Keita might have done that in the past. In his awkward, like, what's my role? I have to do something every minute. And he kind of like understood the position of the match and the timing. And I felt like it kind of showed his maturation of kind of understanding his role at this club when he plays, whether he's a sub or a starter. And I think for me, that's the last month or so has been him really improving. So I'd give him a 7 as well.
How about Jota?
I'd honestly give Jota a 5. I'm not sure he did anything. I know that's below average because I'm not really sure he did anything. He had a couple nice touches around the box. He did turn the ball over a couple spots. And I feel like he is a little off the boil at this point where he kind of looks like he's trying to press and make things happen because there's so much positivity happening with so many other attacking players. And I think that's a good thing. Shows competitiveness.
That's a little harsh on Diogo there, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I am probably like a 6.5. I thought in terms of defensive work rates, he kind of like gave what we needed there, and I think it kind of made it. I still do not like him on the left. I would much rather have him in the middle. And then once Divock came in when he switched, yeah, I just don't like him over there. But he did give the defensive work rate, so I give him like a 6.5. Let's go to these. Could be NA for the most part, I guess. But Divock and Joe, what do you have for them? Anything special, or do you want to do NA with these guys because they came in the 81st?
They would be, but for me, they're between the NA and the 6 of average. You know, I did think Divock a couple times. He gave the ball away kind of loosely. Divock looked like they were up 2-0, and he came in the 81st minute, and he knew his job was to play 9 minutes plus stoppage time.
Yeah, he's like, you guys don't need me to score, though, right? Okay, cool.
He was like, it's not Everton. Like, whoa, what? It ain't Everton. I know it's the Champions League semifinal, but like, there's nothing on the line here. Like, why am I playing?
I think this still shows that we still have a big Divock goal in the rest of the season. I mean, I think especially after Diaz came, I don't know what happens once obviously Bobby is fit. I don't know if we'll see him again then, but I think most of us thought we would not see Divock until, he's in a Milan uniform and he's already in and contributing and stuff like that. So I've got to give him that. Love some Divock. So that's about it. You, like you said in the beginning, 1 foot in the final?
I believe we got 1 foot in the final. So as all of you know, because I talk about it on every recording, me and Megan are going to Anfield. And today there was a guy. No, this is great though. No, listen, this is great. In our WhatsApp group of the people going on this trip, we already have a group of people talking together. And a guy reached out and he said to Ken, he was like, "Hey, I don't want to count my chickens, but I also want to prepare." any chance of getting Champions League finals tickets, I'm going to be there that long. I'm staying in Europe. I want to go to Paris. And I think people who have a chance to get to Paris right now for the Champions League final, whether you have a ticket to the match or not, you might be dancing around the streets with a bunch of happy people in red outfits, because I believe we have one foot in that final. I think we're going to go there. I think we're going to win.
Yeah, I feel like that. I mean, you know me, I worry as a lifestyle, but I mean, that 2-0 and the way they play, I feel like we will get a goal there, which
Yeah.
means they will have to score 4, and I just don't see that. So, well, tomorrow you running the Irish pub on the Thursday podcast, right?
Yeah,
Jamie
we
and
are. We
Christine?
are going to run the Irish. We're going to run the Irish pub. All three Irishmen. The guy who has mostly Irish ancestry, hanging out with two dudes from Ireland, which means I'll basically ask questions. They won't answer them. They'll start talking together, and then before you know it, we'll be down a rabbit hole talking about candy shops in Dublin. But it's all good.
Yep. So tune in tomorrow nights as Gally and the Irish gang over there break down the game much further and look ahead at the Newcastle. See you guys tomorrow night, 8 Central, right here on Facebook, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, as well as on our Twitter page as well. Take care, everybody.